Hello and welcome to the second training session for the new HTML5 Public GIS Viewer. Today we're going to go over the second tab in the toolbar. Um, as I mentioned in the first training session, to access the toolbar, you can either click the open toolbar icon or double click this top border. So we've covered the getting around and also navigation and the application in the first session. This session we're going to go over the tools tab. Um, kind of a cleaner layout than our previous application. The tools should be very familiar if you've used the previous version of our application. Just put in an address for if you want to find an address. Make sure that you include your city. Click search. And the address that I search for obviously is an apartment complex, so there's going to be a lot of results that come back. But once it zooms to those results, then you can just click on the address that you're interested in and we'll zoom in further. So we can do another address here. We can close our geocode results, address search results with this X here. Do another find address. We'll just search for City Hall, 455 North Main. It'll find the address. And these are all the different candidates. The top one is going to be the most likely candidate based on how you spelled your input. If you click on that record, it'll zoom to that record and you can view that area, turn on additional information, query the map, or what have you. Again, I can clear those results by just clicking the X. You can also access that find address tool from the I want to menu by clicking on go to address. Once your result set comes up, you can click on a record and it'll center and zoom to that record. You can also interact with the results. You can do identify features with a buffer option. You can change the result set to the expanded view that brings the map or your table frame down below your map. You can toggle that. You can maximize that information and you can toggle the view with this menu item here. And I can get rid of my geocode results with this X here. The identify tools changed a little bit. There's a drop down menu that's included with it that allows you to choose what type of identify process you want to use. You can do a point, a freehand, a line, a polygon, or a rectangle. So I'll give an example of each of these. So obviously the point, pretty straightforward. Select the tool. There's the instructions that kind of come up that are context sensitive for whatever tool you have. And click on the map. It's going to give us an identify. The property identify for parcels comes up, as I explained in the first session, with the little snippet from Google Street View. You can view additional information. You can run a report on it. Click out to Sedgwick County's appraiser's office information. Clear that result by closing the identify window. Do a freehand identify, so that just means you can draw a line through multiple items and do an identify. There's instructions that come up. Click or tap and hold down, then draw a freehand shape to learn what's there. So if I just hold down my left mouse button and draw across several parcels, any parcel that crosses that line is going to come up and I can get additional information about each one of those. So it shows that I have 4 results in my identify. I can switch to the table. That information comes up down below. I can see information about each of those records. And as I click on each record in the table view, it'll highlight and zoom and center those records. I can switch back to my list view. Some other options that come up, I can export this information to a CSV file or an Excel file. I can export the data in GIS format, or I can run a report on it. When you have the Identify tool selected, this additional context menu comes up. You can control what layers you want to be able to identify on. Again, they have to be visible. So in our layer list, I can turn on some additional data, let's say zoning. I'll turn on the zoning layer. And now when I have my Identify tool selected, I can choose what layers I want to identify. So I can select all, or I can clear all, or I can choose individual ones. So for example, zoning, I'll select the zoning. So I'll get identify information about zoning, or if that's maybe the only layer I want, or maybe I don't want to necessarily get parcel information, I just want to get zoning information, I can select that one exclusively. So I would just select clear all and then navigate to the one layer that I'm interested in getting information about. I could do a buffer identify from wherever I click. So that dialog, we can put in a distance and then choose the units. So if I wanted to buffer 500 feet from where I click or draw on the map for my identify, I can do that. So that's what this context menu is here. So I did the freehand tool. The line's pretty similar. It's just click once, click again, click again. Each time I click, it's going to drop a vertex, and any feature that line crosses is what is going to come back in my identify result set. So I just double click to end it, and as you can see, there's two features that came across. So this is single family, zoned single family. I can go back to and there's multifamily. So two different zoning types there in the polygons that I identified upon. So this Polygon Identify tool is pretty similar. It just draws a polygon. So if I wanted to get multiple types of zoning back, as I left click once, it continues to draw my polygon, and then I double click to finish it, and anything that polygon that I drew crosses is going to come back. So I've got several different features here. I can look at that in the table view, and as I click on the records in the table that I identified from, it's going to highlight and zoom to those for me. I can control what information, I can control the layer list also from the I want to menu by just choosing this more maps. It'll just open up the layer list for us. And then finally the rectangle identify, pretty straightforward. I could just drag a box left and hold down my left mouse button, and then when I release it, whatever that box crossed, it's going to identify. Pretty straightforward, but good functionality. Query your map for information. The next tool is a simple query tool. So I can search my map data for specific features. So first we choose the layer that we want to search for. So for example, I'll do parks, and it's going to go out to the database and look at the data that's in the parks layer. It's going to give us all of the different fields, pieces of information. Um, so let's say I wanted a query for a specific park by its name. So I can do name equals, and when I click in the next box, these are my operands. So contains, does not contain, starts with, ends with, specifically equal to, and not equal to. So once I select my operand, so it's name equals, when I click in this third box, it'll give me a list of the different parks that I can query for. Or if I knew the name of the park, I could start typing that, and it's going to filter the data based on that park name. So this query is basically going to filter out all of the parks except for the one that I chose. So I can filter that. And when I turn on my parks layer, I can zoom out and see that the only park in the parks layer that drew is Swanson Park. So if I go back to my filter dialog by using these tabs down below and I remove that, I can clear it and all the rest of the parks draw now. I can apply that filter or clear it just by these two buttons here. So it allows you to identify specific features in a data set. And I close my filter tool with the X there. Next tool is the draw tool. Again, it's got a drop down menu so you can select the types of items that you want to draw. You can draw points on the map. Um, we can clear all of the drawing that we've done. I'm going to turn my arrows off here. So when you select the draw tool, um, let's say I wanted to draw some text, there's another context menu that comes up. You could snap to certain features. You can set the style of text that you want to use. Um, so let's say I've got that tool selected and I want to put some text on the map here. Just type in the text that I want. It places it on the map. I can edit the text. So if I select the edit tool and then click on the text, I can change it. And it updates it. Also gives me handles. I can rotate the text. I could resize the text. I can erase a specific text element just by clicking on it. Or if I had multiple text elements, I could select the clear tool and it would clear all of the all of the drawing features that are on the map. I can draw lines on my map. I can change the style. And then the next time I draw a line, it's going to adhere to that style that I chose. I can snap to layers. So if I wanted to snap to, let's say, the parcels layer, I can select that as my snappable layer. And when I enable snapping, it's going to give me this snap indicator, and it'll automatically snap to the parcel layer. I can erase individual drawing elements, or I can clear all of them. It gives you a little warning that you're going to permanently delete or erase all of the drawings in your map. Freehand tool is very self-explanatory, just like the freehand identify. Left click, hold down, and as you draw, you can write as if you had a pen or a pencil in your hand. We can change our style, say a dotted line, and draw freehand again, and we could edit that. It gives you handles for each of the different components in the freehand tool. I can move that, edit the shape of it if I wanted to, or I can clear all of my drawings. We can do a freehand shape. As I draw around, it's going to fill in and create a polygon based on where I drew. Lips is very similar, just left mouse click and hold down. As you change your mouse position, it resizes it and reshapes it according to how you want it positioned. Do a circle, just left click and drag, and as I drag out, it just changes the size of the circle. Do a polygon, left click once, just continue to left click, and as I do, it'll continue to fill in my polygon for me. And finally, the rectangle, left click, hold down, drag out to whatever size or shape you want, and it creates your graphic for you. So you can add graphics and text to your map. That'll be included in your print if you print the layout, and uh, just a nice way to enhance any map that you may want to produce. Again, edit tool to clear all my graphics. The measure tool is, the similar as the previous application, so I can do a distance. When I select distance, it gives me an option. This context menu comes up so I can change my units of measurement, whether it be for distance or for area. I can enable snapping. I can select my snapping layer. So if I wanted to snap to a specific feature on the map, I could do that. So very straightforward. I can maybe come into this parcel here, and it's going to allow me to snap. It's going to add the measurement line. It's going to give me a label for that distance. I can continue to add measurements. And these labels will come across in your print job as well. I can edit. I can erase specific measurements, or I can clear all of them. I can also do the same thing with an area. Double click to finish. It gives me my area and my perimeter, and then each of the different sides has a measurement as well. And the edit tool is contextual with either the measure tool or the draw tool. So that concludes our second session that covers our tools menu. Please make sure you take time to watch our third installment, and we hope that you enjoy the new HTML5 Public GIS Viewer. Thanks and have a great day.